Welcome to One Bite is Everything, the podcast that uncovers what you don't know about your food. I am your host, Dana DePrima, and I am so glad that you're here today for this remarkable story of resilience, innovation, and community. Trish Preston, a farmer turned entrepreneur, shares how her journey from hardship to hope has not only transformed her life, but also created a ripple effect for farmers and families in her community. From breaking barriers to build the Winchester Farm Exchange to empowering small farmers with sustainable opportunities, Trish's story is a testament to the power of determination, collaboration, and vision. So, grab your favorite locally sourced snack and join us as we explore how one person's passion can change lives and reconnect a community with its roots.
I broke my back in 2020, got knocked down by one of our goats. And that by itself was not fun. Obviously, getting your back broken is not fun. I have permanent injury from that and some damage from that. And it made doing a lot of the work impossible for me. So I had to rely upon everybody else. You know, as a farmer, your social network is tied into farming. You are spending your time with friends in the field, you're spending time with your friends. You know, for us, we raise sheep, we were doing other sheep things. And when you can't do those things because you can't participate physically, that was really hard. And so definitely kind of took me down a dark path.
Farming is physically demanding and sometimes isolating work. Injuries, illness, or even bad weather can create overwhelming challenges. For Trish Preston, these hurdles became a turning point in her journey, one that led to a transformative community project.
So through sports medicine at Ohio State, started to see a counselor. And so I'm in there with like athletes from Ohio State who have like had their shoulders broken playing for like the Buckeyes or whatever. And my sport is farming. So she'd be like, well, let's carry these 2 buckets full of balls to demonstrate like carrying buckets of water across. I'm like, okay. So we would do things like that, physical therapy wise. Yeah, I've had a series since 2020 of just like not great luck.
You need
It's been like one thing after another.
The best thing you can do is just take good care of yourself.
Taking good care of myself and taking good care of my faith and putting, stock in that first. And I'm trying to live well and I'm trying to build a legacy here, along with my business partner, Chelsea, and I, and all the things that we're doing at this market. We're really impacting our community in many, many ways. You know, we asked them recently to give us some comments about what did this place mean to them. And we got the most amazing responses back about how this place was changing life for them because of the access that they had to good foods and things like that. So that's really cool. I love that part of it. We have a nonprofit we started alongside of it, which is hoping to impact and feed people in our community as well. And being able to build the partnership where it's not just for me, but, I just redid my estate plans and had the transition stuff in there for my kids to step into the partnership with Chelsea should. And they're doing great. I realize, I'm blessed in that I raised my kids on this farm, that they learn to love agriculture and they learn to love giving back and they learn to love prioritizing food equity and access for our community so that it's not just my dream. It's now sort of ingrained in them and it's their passion too. So I hope that they're proud of it and continue to make it a better place too, long after I'm gone, but they can kind of continue that mission and passion.
Tell me a little bit about the legacy you want to leave.
We always wanted to connect people with their food. So what we were doing at our farm was being able to open up those conversations where people could have conversations with the farmer. Where we live, we're just outside of Columbus. We're the 14th largest city in the US, and people are really disconnected from their food. And so they are on social media and they're listening to these sound bites from different people, and it's not necessarily always good or truthful information. And so we just kind of opened up our doors so people could come and chat with us, even though we're not a very big farm. We're a small place, but we grow lambs, we have chicken, we have eggs, we have an apiary. It just gave them an opportunity to talk to a farmer. And then also I would introduce them to other farmers as well. So just being able to have those conversations was really important. So that was great. And I was able to kind of build this I won't say necessarily reputation, but just being able to build those connections in the community, that when we then morphed that into the Winchester Farm Exchange and building out this store here, which is in the heart of our downtown, it was a natural progression, and people really readily accepted it. And it's so much easier to get here than it was necessarily out to the farm, that this has such a greater impact. And every single day when people are walking through here and they say, I just want to say thank you for being here, it means so much to me that they appreciate this place. And we just watch people walk through the door, and they're meeting their neighbors, and they're communicating with one another, and like having, great conversations around food. And we're listening to people as they walk. And every single day, the farmers and vendors that sell here, we always have one that we call a farmer on duty that is here working at the register, or is like on the floor, so that they can have those conversations. And people love that they can say, gosh, I loved that steak that I had last week. I was like, well, there's your farmer who raised that animal so you could have that steak, or the flowers that they come and buy, or whatever. People love that connection, and they don't otherwise know how to talk to a farmer or where to find them. So we've given them that opportunity.
So when you're talking about how disconnected the community there is from their farmers, have they talked about that? Like how they felt disconnected and not knowing how to get connected? I mean, you're filling a need, but I'm wondering if they were sitting around going, we're disconnected. What do we do?
Well, it's so funny. I think again, social media, like they see, like, I know that this food is better for me, but I don't know how to access it. I know that when I go to the grocery store, I'm like, and I always told them too, when people, even when they would come to our farm, I'm like, you're still buying from a farmer when you go to the grocery store. If you go to, Kroger or wherever, I'm like, you're still buying from a farmer. And those are all good things too. So I don't want to like bash grocery stores for products that they have, because everybody has a budget that they have to stick to.
I hear that. People are, conscious of the price tag. And I think that sometimes people have a hard time adding up the math that comes after you leave the cash register, right? Like, so
Correct.
It's how, it's the 1,500 miles that beef had to travel in addition to how it was raised, which is different. So, I mean, it's just what price you're paying.
And then people say, well, gosh, I had the ground beef that's here and it tastes amazing. And I'm like, well, it's single source. So that all came from one animal. You buy ground beef in the grocery store and it's like 100 animals all mixed in together. And the taste is going to be different. So yes, but that has a price tag. But I think, like I was saying, people see on social media, it's like they know that there's, if it's beauty care products, we have all this stuff that's like tallow based and everything. It's like, oh, I've always seen about that, but I didn't know where to find it. I didn't know how to get it, because really, and how the store came about to begin with is Chelsea, my business partner, my kids used to babysit for her and stuff. And she came out to the farm stand and she was like, I really want to have a conversation with you. Chelsea has some other businesses. And she was like, so when I want to come and get like chicken and eggs, I come here. Then when I want sourdough, I got to go to your neighbors down the street. Then when I want this product, I have to find this other farm. She's like, it's not that convenient for a mom with small kids to try and hit everybody's farm stands and buy direct from a farmer. She was like, what if we built a direct from a farmer kind of grocery store where we put all of these products in one place? So it's like, that's like my dream. I would love to do that. I have no idea how to do that because all I know is farming. Well, Chelsea's like, I know business and I know nothing about farming. So I was like, perfect. So it's been a perfect partnership. But it allowed us to kind of pull together our group of friends and get everybody in here and to do a very unique, different business model. So our business model, our farmers all pay for their space no differently than you would at a farmer's market, and they get 100% of their sales back.
The Winchester Farm Exchange operates on a unique business model that prioritizes farmers' financial health. Unlike traditional stores where profits often bypass the producers, this model ensures that farmers retain 100% of their sales, creating a win-win for the farmers and the community.
So they're paying a small flat fee, and then they get all the money. So our farmers have increased their business sales since they've been here with us. Most of them, the minimum has been 300%. And most folks are at 700 to 800% increase in their revenue. So we've been able to grow a fantastic market for them. And we knew that if we could do that and build demand for their product, that we would be able to help them to support their farms and then help them to grow and stay in business. And again, development, we have a lot going on here, as I think a lot of big cities do in the US. And so trying to protect those small farms from developers and from the housing market and things like that, just trying to stay in business is not easy right now.
And how many farms do you have that I'm able to come to your store, to Winchester's?
Winchester Farm Exchange. So inside this place right here, as we call them, we have our farmers, ranchers, makers, and bakers. So people doing a variety of different things, like our flower farmers are now making like ornaments with their dried flowers, things like that. But we have roughly 60 in here right now, and a long list of folks who would like to come in, but we're starting to run out of space, which is a good problem to have. But we're trying to reconfigure and think about like what pieces we have in here and how we can build out and do more. Plus, we have a community room in the back, which we wanted to use for education purposes, but we are already on to phase 2. So we have like a back room that has a drive-through window, because this was actually formerly a bank and it had a drive-through window. And so our phase 2 is to build out a small cafe and restaurant in the back, and we'll utilize that drive-through window. So we'll probably use that community room for some seating and things like that, and maybe put some more retail space back there. But the cafe space, as we open up a commercial kitchen, it'll do a couple of different things. If we can open that up, we can have space for a restaurant to come in so they can prep food, serve in-house, and also use the drive-through window. The commercial kitchen can also be leased by our farmers and vendors. So for the meat folks are like, gosh, I wish I could make and sell like prepared meats, like barbecued beef or things like that, but you have to have a commercial kitchen to do that. The lady who does the microgreens, she was like, I want to sell salads in jars, and I want to do boiled eggs in it and have some ham from our vendors. And like, so they're all collaborating and creating new products too together, but she also needs a commercial kitchen. So hopefully that will be something that they can access that will help them to create new products that they can sell and serve our community. And then the third piece of that is that hopefully the nonprofit, it's called the Fishes and Loaves Food Alliance. Hopefully that we can use as well so that we can prep food, because our goal is to help with the summer school lunches here in our community.
That is a lot, and it sounds like it's expanding very quickly. Your farm partners, so the 60 farms, like, are they all very local to the Winchester Farm Exchange? They're there in your community.
One of the farms is a mile down the road. Our farm is 3 miles down the road, but then we have a few that are in neighboring counties. One of my really good friends, Sarah Eisen, who's from Flourish in Rome, she's here and she's from Cincinnati. So she's about as far out as they go. So she's got a large ranch that's down in the Cincinnati area, but she's here every single week. So she comes up on Fridays, she restocks, and then she works. So she's here so that she can chat with people. And they're actually in the process too of opening a dairy alongside of all the other things that they're doing. And I think that being part of the exchange, it's doubled. They have a small farm store, but she's doing as well here as she is with that. And she's like, it's completely doubled their business.
It sounds like you're passing on a lot of the profits to the farmers.
So far, all of them. Yes, this is funny. So we have a business mentor, and he was like, when we talked about the business plan with him, he was like, I can't poke holes in this anywhere. He's like, solid plan. He was like, here's the problem. He was like, all your farmers are making $1 million and you're making nothing. I'm like, I realize that. So because we have this passion of what we want to do to help the community and to support our farmers, that's correct. So we have applied for a liquor license to sell beer and wine. And for Chelsea and I, that's like our line item in the store. So hopefully we'll profit from that when that happens. But otherwise, we're not trying to make $1 million for ourselves. We really are trying to support our community and support our farmers.
I would imagine that if you got your farmers together in the Winchester Farm Exchange and explained that a little bit to them, that they might be a little bit more interested in making sure that you guys are also benefiting like they are now that there's like that proof of concept.
I mean, Chelsea and I, when we think about it, I still have a full-time, she has multiple full-time jobs. I have a full-time job. I farm also. we didn't have time to really build this business. We would start chatting at like 10 o'clock at night. She would be like, my kids are in bed now. And I'm like, well, I'm all done for the day, like doing chores and stuff. And we couldn't really talk on the phone because we didn't want to disturb everybody else in our household who's asleep. So we literally would like text message nonstop till like 1 a.m. Or once we got the keys to the building here, we would come up here and people would be like, I drove by at like 1 a.m. and you guys are in the window sitting there working. So it was a lot of late nights. I mean, we started chatting in February of this year and we opened August 24th. So how in the world we built an entire concept of a business and executed and opened in that short a period of time, I have no idea, other than to say, again, we're people of faith and we definitely have felt led all the way through. We've had so many people very interested in what we're doing. We would love to expand to other communities, but we definitely have had people who are not of the same community necessarily seeing the success and they're wanting to copy it. And not because they are wanting necessarily to support farmers, but because they just see the success and they're wanting to build a cute little quaint business like this because everybody loves it. But everybody loves it because it's truly a community and it's passion-based and it's for the good of our farmers and our community.
The exchange isn't just about buying food. It's about fostering connections. When you walk in, you're not just meeting your neighbors. You're meeting the very people who grow and craft the food on your plate. This sense of authenticity and pride is what makes the exchange a cornerstone of the community.
And I don't think if anybody else copies it as a business person to just try to build a business that they would have the same sort of heart in it, like what this place has. It works because of the model that we have. And it works because our farmers were like, at first, they kind of kept coming to us as if we were like the controllers of everything. And while we are to a certain degree, but we're like, but it's your store. So like you're leasing space, it's your stuff. So take care of your area, take care of your sales, like be proud of it and promote it and come and work. And that's what they've been doing. And so that's, really contributed to a lot of the success because they take personal pride in everything that's happening here.
And your customers are feeling, I'm guessing, that authenticity. That's there. That's very unique. It's not like I'm going to the supermarket and there's somebody there hawking new yogurt. This is really authentic and it is hard.
People love when they're in here and when they're checking out and I'll point out like who's here, say like there's your baker, there's your, farmer for whatever. Or when folks are here, we try to post online on our stories and say, hey, tomorrow, Liz from Sweetgrass Dairy is going to be here. She'll be here from 1 to 3. Come and chat with your farmer. And folks love that. So yeah, it's an important part.
Back in 2023, the Four Farmers Movement awarded Trish and her farm, Preston Family Farm, a grant to do some safety upgrades to gates. Following her accident, she needed those gates to be easier for her and safer for the people who came to the farm to volunteer. Four Farmers grants are small and farmer-directed, but they pack a punch and have a ripple effect. In this case, a big one.
But Dana, I got to tell you, when you guys did the whole Four Farmers grant thing back in the beginning, the biggest thing that when I think back to that is not just about the money. So like it helped me to grow and to do some things and put in place improve some gates and to do some things that were better for me on my farms. That was all great. But the biggest thing I think that grant did, it is that you have somebody believing in you. It was that impetus of like the confidence that helped you to grow more. So it was just knowing that somebody was behind you that like believed in this thing that you're working so hard on. So really the money was great, but really it was the cheerleading behind there and the accolades that helped to build confidence to think like, I can actually do this and I can do more. And I think that's what I take away from kind of where I started with that Four Farmers grant. That was really important to me. So thank you again for building an entire community and program around supporting farmers because that little bit kind of blew it up after that. Then I think about this year that I've had, like I just even knowing like with the health struggles that I'm having right now, I look at this place and the success that Chelsea and I are enjoying right now. And I think, how the heck did we just do that? I have no idea.
You hit a real chord in your community. I think
Yeah,
we all need these kinds of stores so that we can actually access and understand our food.
right. When I was working on my graduate program, my thesis included agricultural education was really important. And having something where you could really change the health outcomes for the community was really important. So you can try to eat healthy and go to like your grocery store and stuff, but you are tempted to buy all those other things that are those quick and easy, overly processed foods, which are not necessarily good for you. This, I hope, inspires people to be thinking about how do I cook more at home? How do I spend my money? So I can either pay less at that store and buy more fast food or whatever or more processed foods, or I can spend money here and think about spending time with my family, slowing down, eating healthier, and doing things that are really impactful to their health overall. So their physical health, their mental health, connecting with their community. We've tried to share the stories with folks a little bit on our stories as well. One of our vendors, she works with one of our beef farmers. So she takes the fat from their beef. She creates and makes tallow beauty products. She makes lip glosses and all kinds of things with tallow. It's wonderful. When she started with us, she said, I was selling about $200 worth of products. She's like, I was in all these other stores and altogether she's selling about $200 a month. Since she's been here, she's done phenomenal. We'll just say that it's been significantly more than that, than $200. She said, I have never paid myself a salary. She said, for the first time, I was able to pay myself a salary. And with that, she said, we bought health insurance for ourselves as a family, and we've never had health insurance. So Chelsea, when you ask me, like, we're not getting paid for it, it's hard sometimes. And we say that too. But then when we hear those stories and we know that the hard work that we're putting in, I have health insurance, but the hard work that I just put in allowed for somebody else and their whole family to get health insurance. Like, that's a pretty cool payment. We love those kinds of stories. One of our bakers, she was like, it's been my lifelong dream. She's like, I would love to be like a stay-at-home baker and just bake for myself and have my own business. And so she was here for about a month and she was like, I cannot believe, she's like, I not only had some debt that I thought would take me years to pay off, completely paid it off. And on top of that, she's like, I quit my job and I'm a full-time baker. This is it. This is all I do now. So that's how well she's doing here, that she was able to support herself. So those are like awesome stories and things that we love. And those are people then that are very invested in this community too. Like, I want to make sure that, the folks here are thriving. And so it isn't just business, but it really is about building community.
It's so important. Farmers knit the community together. They're taking care of your land and your air and your water and your soil. And they're, building a thriving economy. And if we stop hamstringing them by sequestering them and not supporting them and not saying like, oh, it's just too much trouble, then look what happened.
It's awesome. I mean, so often farmers are sort of vilified, in the press and things like that. We say, every day is Earth Day to a farmer, but yet you hear over and over and over again, they think farmers are huge polluters and things like that, which I'm not really sure why anybody would say that. But so farmers, you're right, do tend to isolate. So who's your community? You talk to other farmers because you just assume sort of like folks who aren't farmers, they don't get it and they don't really appreciate how their food gets to the table. They don't understand the hard work that goes into raising those chickens. I mean, I will say we have had some of those tough conversations with folks when they ask about some of the prices. And I'm like, I think you'd be surprised the amount of effort and time that it takes and the price tag to finish like a chicken. Or did you know that it takes 18 to 24 months for a cow to finish? They're like, they don't know. They don't know how long it takes. They don't know the effort that goes into it. So it's just been a great place to just educate people, just to get that appreciation and to just break down some of those barriers and some of those walls between, people who don't have those connections to a farmer and just to build that community.
What I think about, and when we're talking about farmers being very isolated, is the idea that maybe like Big Ag, name a company, they have a marketing department, they have a legal department, they've got an HR department, they've got somebody who helps them with their 401k and, and their health insurance and all of that. And I appreciate that small farms are on social media and they're getting better at marketing themselves, but it is not enough. It is very difficult to, market your product against a big advertising behemoth, right? And you guys sort of stepped in and filled that void in a very like down home kind of way. Like, this is the place where we get to talk about farms and how important they are and how important this food is. And it's all connected to your dinner. And these are the people who did it.
And we have a 10-year lease on this place. Like, we're just getting started. So we have so many more plans of ways that we're going to build those connections, like just the classes and the things that we want to do and the dinners and all the things that we would love to host here. Literally, when we sit down, we talk about this big long list of all these things we want to accomplish.
As Trish reflects on her legacy, it's clear this story isn't just about her journey. It's about redefining what community, sustainability, and food equity mean for all of us. The lessons here are universal. Support your farmers, cherish your local landscape, and know that every bite has a story.
Like, we have plenty of time to get there, but yeah, so many more things that we would like to do to just further educate people. I want people to appreciate where their food comes from. I want them to appreciate the green space when they drive by. I hate hearing around here where people will take a look at a big map and I hear politicians and stuff talk and they're like, look at all that open land that we could develop. And I'm like, and it's not open land.
It's spoken for. It's actually making you dinner right now.
Like, I don't understand. I don't know where people think they're going to get their food from if we just keep plowing it over and putting concrete over it. And the other thing too is Chelsea and I say all the time, like, this is our own revolution sitting right here. Like, I don't ever have to worry about if things shut down again. I'm like, I and my 60 friends at this point have built an entire grocery store and everything we need is right here. When you were talking about like some of the marketing and stuff, farmers are doing some of that on their own, but then we're able to amplify a lot of what they're doing. I tell customers this all the time. I'm like, what other profession is there that you see where somebody is like, taking the seed, planting it, doing all of the labor that is required of it, then does all the harvesting. In the meantime, has to do all the marketing, has to harvest it, package it, bring it to market, sell it, and then do all the bookwork at the end and like every single step. Who else does that? Nobody, because they hire out like every single one of those steps,
Right.
There's all this integration. And agriculture has that to some degree, when you get larger, but you certainly don't have that with your small farms. When you really look at like the health and success of communities, it is really, you look at what makes a community really unique. I mean, I will say like in our community here in our town, a lot of these businesses said that all of their business has increased since we moved in. Our city council and our mayor has been very supportive. And agriculture is disappearing from the landscape here in our area. And so to have this where people feel this connection to tradition and what our history is was also a really important like mental health aspect for our entire community too.
Thank you for joining me today to hear about Trish Preston and her incredible journey. Her story reminds us of the profound impact we can have when we support our local farmers and build authentic connections around our food. The Winchester Farm Exchange is more than a store. It's a revolution in how we think about farming, food, and community. As Trish and I discussed, every farmer is making dinner for you tonight. Let's honor their work by making choices that uplift and sustain them. If this episode resonated with you, please share it, leave us a review, and let us know your thoughts. Together, we can spark change, one bite at a time. Until next week, keep exploring what's on your plate and what's behind it. I'm Dana DePrima, and this is One Bite is Everything.